Streaming into America's cities, immigrants must have been bewildered by the variety of large-scale amusements they encountered. Vaudeville, Nickelodeons, amusement parks, baseball games, newspapers, all new and all within the budget of most newcomers. But they quickly embraced these commercial entertainments, which helped immigrants adjust to the pace and problems of city life. In the end, both the immigrants and the cities they inhabited were transformed forever.
Children were often attracted to leisure activities that were outside of the ethnic community, that were more American. And for young working women, for example, in the early 20th century, the dance hall was a great attraction, or the new amusement park. And so for many of these younger people, they were not content with the social life that the immigrant community offered.
On the stage, immigrants saw images and symbols of their own lives. Magician Harry Houdini, who billed himself as the world-famous self-liberator, was a crowd favorite.
Houdini is a good example. Houdini was, of course, a master of escape, which was something that all the immigrants had done in one way or another. They had escaped from one environment and transformed themselves. So when they watched Houdini, what they saw was a kind of symbolic reenactment of their own experience.
With the advent of motion pictures, immigrants could also see their lives transposed on the screen.
Silent movies. There's no need to understand English to enjoy what's taking place. And you think about many of the old Keystone Cop films or many of the silent shorts, and what they do is they mock authority figures. They make fun of police, they make fun of politicians, of businessmen. They really reflect the working class and poor and immigrants' difficult or contradictory relationship to these people in positions of authority.
Baseball is the very symbol, the outward and visible expression of the drive and push and rush and struggle of the raging, tearing, booming 19th century. Mark Twain.
America's newest citizens also helped make baseball its national pastime. In ballparks across the country, immigrants witnessed speed, timing, and efficiency, the very qualities that the new industrial economy demanded. And just like the economy, baseball emphasized strict rules and regulations. To win in baseball, or in America, you had to play by the rules. But in America, the rules did not always apply equally. In 1867, the National Association of Baseball Players barred black players in teams. Later, blacks would form their own baseball leagues. So baseball reflected the racial divisions that immigrants found in the city. It also reflected their own success in America.
So many of the stars were immigrants or from immigrant communities. They had last names like LaJoy. The immigrants could root for them and express their own distinctiveness. The other important thing about a ballpark was it allowed them to root for the, quote, home team, and therefore declare, quite literally, that they were home.
If you're a fan of a particular team and you're with other fans, that overcomes your different ethnicities or your different class backgrounds. You can all rally around and be members of the same group. So it plays important community building functions as well.
And you could follow the home team in the local newspaper. America became a nation of newspapers because its new citizens did not share a common past. What immigrants shared were the immediate events of the present, the news. Aided by the inventions of the telephone, telegraph, and high-speed press, metropolitan newspapers doubled in number between 1870 and 1900. Savvy publishers like William Randolph Hearst and Joseph Pulitzer were quick to pick up on the pulse of the nation.
Newspapers helped personalize an impersonal environment. In cities, you had millions of newcomers from literally all over the world. very often people that could not speak each other's languages. And what the Metropolitan Press, the newspapers, did was, through human interest stories, stories about romance, stories about crime, stories about other kinds of dramatic individual achievements and phenomena, was they made that environment personal. Somebody from England or somebody from Scandinavia or somebody from Romania, they could all look at the same newspaper and they could share in a single event.
The Metropolitan Press shortened the distance between diverse people and helped make them one people. The arrival of over 23 million immigrants to American shores coincided with revolutions in industry and technology. American work and culture were forever changed. So too were the immigrants. Their labor and spirit helped transform America into a global power. But for the immigrants, the American dream carried costs as well as opportunities. As they climbed America's ladder of success, they felt their children slipping out of their grasp. And they often felt oddly divided, caught uncomfortably between two worlds.
It was their children, of course, who went to school and who learned to speak English and who then functioned as a kind of translator between the family and the larger society. The children sort of had a foot in both worlds.
In 1929, Bulgarian immigrant Stoyan Christou began to look back on his life. What are we? Are we still what we were before we came to America? Or are we half Americans and half something else? In search of an answer, Christou would return to his native Bulgaria. But even there, he felt out of place. So he came back, once and for all, to the new nation that he now called home.
What joy upon my return to America. I felt like a child at the sight of his mother from whom it had been separated for months. Without unpacking my things, I walked for nearly 2 hours up and down Broadway like a man possessed. Everything that my eyes beheld, I felt like embracing with my arms. I cannot leave America.